Gilmore Girls, and why were the actors not allowed to improv? The simple answer, because Amy said so. Now let me know in the comments what your favorite reference on Gilmore Girls was. Maybe perhaps you didn't even discover it until last week when you watched it after the 20 billionth time. One fun thing about Gilmore Girls is there are so many different references embedded in the dialogue, and if the actors were improving, those references would have been lost. Timing. A typical episode of Gilmore Girls ran 42 minutes long, and there were commercial breaks in specific intervals, which meant that the scripts were written so that there would be a break, and then they would do another set of scenes, and then there would be a break, and then there'd be another set of scenes, and then the show would be over. Those specific breaks were timed per the network, and those scenes needed to fall in line with those breaks. If the actor's going to improv, it would make it harder for them to figure out how long that scene was going to be and if they needed to shoot more for that episode. The third reason, editing. Gilmore Girls was a single camera show. Now, we did have a second camera, but not every setup was done with a second camera, which meant that if we were going to improv, you would never have that delivery be exactly the same way. A sitcom can improv a little bit better because they are not tied to having the editing needing to be so specific. So even if they were allowed to say something slightly different, you'd still have to repeat the way you said it in the master, otherwise it's not going to edit well. Creating the characters. The dialogue in the script is what informs you as the viewer who that character is. If suddenly the actor is adding little quips and bits and things that go off script, they might be changing the direction of where the creators of the show want to take that character. There was this one time on Gilmore Girls, we're shooting in the back lot, and it was Lauren and Scott, they're sitting on a bench, and it was a blooper, something that you guys were never supposed to see. And Lauren improved a line, which we don't do on Gilmore Girls, and for this very reason, she goes, "Luke, I love you." And it was like, whoa, the show's over. Sometimes, while the characters and the actors might have a good grasp on what their character may or may not say, it might not be said at the appropriate time. I got another story on set to share with you, but the last reason, that's probably the most important, is as the writers are creating the scripts, they will drop subtle hints throughout the scripts to things that are going to happen in the future that no one knows about. The actors don't even know what this thing is that's going to happen, but they know. And so they drop subtle hints of things that are going to happen. And if the actors suddenly decided to say this other line instead of the line that was written in the script, then they would not have set up these moments properly. Now, I remember this one time we're filming in the Gilmore mansion with Ed and Kelly and Lauren. And I remember Ed and Kelly being kind of just perturbed. There was a line in the script, they didn't like the way it was written. Maybe the grammar just did not seem like a very well-educated person would say that, and they just wanted to have that line changed. And Amy wasn't on set, Dan wasn't on set, and so they had to call to the writer's office to get this line approved. And Amy was like, "Nope, I want you to say it exactly as written." And I do believe there was another time where they complained about a line and they did fix it. But those lines, when they're changed, they have to go through so many different things because they have to figure out, well, by you saying this, does it change something else that's going to happen in the script? Season 7 was a totally different thing because the writers were like, whatever, if you want to say that instead of that, that's fine. It was not a big deal. But during the first 6 seasons of Gilmore Girls, it absolutely was.